Hi, welcome to SBR Sports Picks. I'm Peter Loshak. We are previewing the main card of UFC 198 right now with a professional MMA odds maker, Nick Kalikas. His website, of course, is MMAoddsbreaker.com. And right now we're going to take a look at Vitor Belfort and Souza. And this is kind of a tricky one. Souza, obviously he's the big favorite, right? Minus 320 right now. Understandable why. Vitor Belfort just keeps hanging around, right? Here he is again. It appears on paper that Souza's just kind of too big, too strong, too well-rounded for Belfort. But, Belfort hangs around. He's a big underdog here. Would I want to lay 320 on Souza? I don't think so. On the other hand, would I want to bet against him? I don't think so either. And I'm looking to the total as I was in the Anderson Silva and Uriah Hall fight. The over 1.5 rounds is maybe a little bit tempting to me, plus 135. Obviously, this fight could end at any point in the first or first half of the second round easily. But at the plus odds, I'm thinking that might be the best way to go. As far as who to bet on the side, at these odds, I don't know. They might be dead on. A lot of unknowns here. It's a tricky fight. What's your take on it, Nick?
Again, completely agree with you. I think that it's tough, even with the total being under 1.5. If you're going to bet the total, you probably want to take a stab at the over. But the problem here is, obviously, Vitor Belfort has some weaknesses. It's not his stand-up game. I mean, his stand-up, he's got speed, he's got power. Man, I mean, he's been like that for a long time throughout his career as well. Obviously, he's been around the sport for a long time. He's been one of the most devastating strikers in the sport, and he continues to be. So he's got a good chance of knocking Souza out. The problem is Souza has a tremendous grappling game. Obviously, I mean, his BJJ background is phenomenal. There's not many better in the sport, period. I mean, in the history of jiu-jitsu, he's that kind of like a Michael Jordan kind of the sport, put it that way, as far as pure jiu-jitsu goes. And it's translated well for him in MMA as well. He's been one of these guys that brings the grappling and knows how to utilize his strengths and gets the job done in the cage as well. So I think he will be able to get Belfort on his back, because Souza, even for a grappler, he has pretty good wrestling. He's able to get the fight to the floor. I mean, look at his fight with Mousasi. Mousasi has shown recently some great takedown defense. His wrestling has improved quite a bit, and Jacare was able to get him down. And he's the only one recently that's been able to kind of manhandle Mousasi like that. So that's the kind of level that you're dealing with a guy like Jacare Souza. I mean, he's just phenomenal, and he's going to be able to get this fight to the floor. And then once on the floor, even though Belfort has a BJJ black belt, and he's good on the ground, no doubt, but he's not the level of somebody like Jacare Souza. So once on the ground, Souza's going to have his way with him. I think he can land some ground and pound. Obviously, Souza's the type of guy that can submit most people as well. So that's where the spot is right there. I think early on, if Souza wants to get this fight to the floor, he can, but will he get clipped before he does that? That's the only concern here. I do think that Souza is going to get the win here, get the fight to the floor, and probably finish Belfort on the ground.
Yeah, I really wanted to bet Souza here. I didn't put too much into Belfort's knockout over Dan Henderson, but can I do it at minus 320? No, I can't, Nick Kalikas, to be perfectly honest. I just can't do it. Where'd you open this line? And do you think that that Belfort is, as much as he should be an underdog here, is getting disrespected by these odds?
It opened 350, so it's basically ballpark. Line margins have tightened up a little bit. The comeback was 250, and it looks like right now it is, 260. So it's basically line margins have just kind of tightened up, and it's staying two-way action. It is a good spot. I think it's a tricky spot, hard for everybody to bet. They are getting a little bit of two-way action on this fight, but it's not anything heavy yet. Now, we'll see if that changes on fight day with sharp action and with the limits increasing and all that stuff. But I think it is a good spot because, like I said, common sense says that, I mean, Jacare's wrestling should be enough to get the fight to the floor, and once on the floor, he's going to have a significant advantage over Belfort. So Belfort does have a puncher's chance in this fight. I don't think he's going to get it. But again, it is in Brazil. Both these guys are Brazilians, and Belfort has performed really well in Brazil at times as well. So you can't underestimate Belfort and wanting to prove to his whole country that he's the best in Brazil and all that sort of thing as well. So you never know. He needs to work on that takedown defense. I just don't think he's going to be successful doing so.
So you think that by the time by fight night there, we could see big sharp action one way or the other on this one?
It's possible. I mean, for me, like I said, I would probably I hate to avoid any fight, but this is another spot that you really don't see a lot of value. So there's been so many cards, and there's going to continue to be so many cards that you don't have to put all your eggs in one basket type of thing here. So I would pass it. But if the line drops significantly, I would hop on Souza.
All right. Well, it's an interesting matchup. Nick Kalikas, let's pin ourselves down on making a pick on this one, side or total. If I had to make one bet on this one, and I might actually do it, I'm not sure. But if I had to make one as of right now, over 1.5 rounds plus 135. Nick Kalikas, side or total, if you had to make a bet on this one, what would it be?
I would probably go with you here. I mean, if anything, since you are getting plus money over 1.5 rounds, and most people think it's probably going to dip under as well. So I would probably pick that because, again, I don't want to lay that juice on the side with Souza, and I probably don't want to go with Belfort either. So plus 135 over 1.5, I think you got something. And you've been hitting your totals great, so got to have some faith in you as well.
Sounds good. Nick Kalikas from MMAOddsBreaker.com. Thanks so much.